When you think of artificial intelligence, you picture data centers and massive silicon wafers. You probably don't picture a heated, high-tech toilet. But right now, the global AI boom is relying on the company that makes them. Recently, an activist fund named Palliser Capital looked closely at the Japanese sanitary ware giant TOTO and found an extreme financial inversion hiding inside its corporate structure. TOTO dominates the bathroom market. They hold a massive 56% share in Japan alone. But making toilets is a tough, mature business, and it leaves them with a modest operating margin of around 4%. This chart shows a completely different story for a tiny division inside the company called Advanced Ceramics. While it generates only about 10% of TOTO's total revenue, it accounts for more than half of the entire company's operating profit. Look at the bottom row. This segment operates at a profit margin of over 40%, completely dominating its competitors. Analysts largely overlooked this division because it was buried under the financials of the residential toilet business. In reality, TOTO has become the primary supplier for a critical, high-margin hardware constraint at the core of the global AI supply chain. To understand why TOTO is suddenly so important, we have to look at how modern memory chips are built. To increase capacity for AI, manufacturers stack memory cells vertically, creating structures called 3D NAND that are hundreds of layers deep. To connect all those layers, you have to drill microscopic holes straight down through the entire stack. Standard chemical etching uses heat to drive a reaction that carves out the hole. But at a depth of over 200 layers, the chemical clogs up and fails long before it reaches the bottom. The only viable way to drill that deep is to drop the temperature to -100 degrees Celsius in a process called cryogenic dielectric etching. The extreme cold changes the chemical reaction entirely, allowing it to carve all the way through without clogging. This requirement creates a severe engineering bottleneck. Look at this bare silicon wafer. It is highly valuable, incredibly fragile, and covered in microscopic circuit patterns. During the etching process, it must be held perfectly still in a freezing, high-vacuum environment while being bombarded by plasma. Traditional industrial methods fail here. Mechanical clamps scratch or shatter the brittle silicon, and vacuum suction, which works well in normal air, is useless inside a vacuum chamber. Securing the wafer under these extreme conditions became a fundamental physics barrier that threatened to halt the scaling of AI memory entirely. This is exactly where TOTO ceramics come in. Their solution is a piece of hardware called an electrostatic chuck, or ESC. It resembles a ceramic disc about the size of a steering wheel with electrodes embedded inside. When a high voltage is applied, it generates an electrostatic field that induces opposite charges on the wafer. This creates a strong, uniform attraction, pulling the silicon perfectly flat against the surface, like a contactless vise. Beyond holding the wafer, the chuck handles the thermal load. Internal channels circulate liquid nitrogen to maintain absolute temperature uniformity across the silicon, preventing the wafer from warping under the heat of the plasma. By combining a damage-free electrostatic grip with precise cryogenic thermal regulation, the chuck overcomes the primary technical contradiction of advanced chip etching. Why is a company famous for bathroom fixtures uniquely positioned to engineer advanced semiconductor components? It comes down to the physics of firing ceramics. When you cast a large porcelain structure, like a toilet, the clay shrinks by about 10% in the kiln. To prevent the piece from cracking or warping under that thermal stress, you need absolute control over the material's composition and the heating cycle. TOTO spent a century refining this at a macroscopic scale. That institutional mastery over ceramic purity and thermal stability is exactly what the electrostatic chuck requires to function. TOTO launched their fine ceramics research back in 1976 and started mass-producing chucks in 1988. They operated this unit as a healthy loss for years, patiently waiting for semiconductor technology to catch up to their material science. Their current dominance is the delayed payoff of a 40-year bet on monozukuri, the Japanese philosophy of relentless craftsmanship. While the engineering is impressive, the economics of the electrostatic chuck are even more significant for TOTO's bottom line. These units are not permanent fixtures, they are consumables. Constant exposure to corrosive plasma and freezing temperatures eventually wears down the ceramic surface. Because of this, fabrication plants must replace these chucks every 1 to 2 years to maintain their nanometer precision. For TOTO, this means 80% of their advanced ceramics revenue is highly predictable, recurring income tied directly to global chip production volumes. With margins exceeding 40%, it would be logical for rival materials firms to simply copy the ceramic disc. They face an insurmountable moat. TOTO has been co-developing these components with the major equipment manufacturer Lam Research since 1990. Because these chucks are integrated directly into the etching tools used by giants like Samsung and SK Hynix, any new competitor would face a 5-year qualification cycle just to prove their product won't destroy a multi-million-dollar batch of wafers. This combination of technical difficulty and historical partnership gives TOTO a locked-in technological monopoly over a critical choke point in the global AI supply chain. As the industry pushes towards even more complex chip architectures, TOTO is investing 80 billion yen to expand their capacity for the upcoming sub-1 nanometer era of manufacturing. The modern tech world often prioritizes speed and software, but physical material science operates on a century-long timeline. You cannot code your way around a physics constraint. The ultimate ceiling of artificial intelligence is being determined by legacy industrial manufacturers who spent decades mastering the physical world.